I want to take a brief moment and just talk to you about something that's dear to my heart, and that's emotional health. You're probably wondering, why in the world is he sitting there on a nice December day in an empty field? There's a reason behind that. The reason I sit in this empty field is because my passion for mental health started in a house that was once here. There was a woman in my life that made me the man that I am today, my grandmother, who loved me unconditionally, who loved her family and loved God and was a hard worker. However, she wrestled with depression. I remember the one day that my grandmother asked me to go to the psychiatrist with her. I was 7 years old, not knowing what type of doctor's appointment it was, but I said, okay, I'll go, Grandma. That day, I went into the doctor's office with her and I heard words that would forever change my life. Here is the woman that I looked up to, the pillar in the family, look her psychiatrist in the face and say, you know what? I'm tired. I just can't go on anymore. And I heard my grandmother saying that, and that bothered me because this is a woman that I looked up to. I said, wow. That day changed my life forever. From that day on, I knew that I wanted to make an impact in the lives of those who endure mental illness. When you look at the term GRACE, what does it mean? Giving recovery and resiliency access to community-centered services that empowers individuals to be emotionally healthy. It's an innovative mental health outreach program seeking to serve minorities with emotional health services that will transform their lives. When you think about minorities, we ain't going to no mental health center. We're going to church first. Can I get an amen? So we decided at the GRACE Initiative to bring the emotional health center to you. And we meet you in the church. We will meet you in Skyline Terrace for therapy. We'll meet you where you are. So that's where we can become innovative and outside the box. If I could, before we start, I want to take y'all back down memory lane. Can I take y'all back to 1975? Is it okay if we go back? Here we go. Give you 30 seconds. Now, many of y'all don't get up and take me back to 75. Wow, what a music phenom, what an amazing individual. He wasn't just an artist, he was a prophet of his time in his era. But when you go back down through Marvin's life, let me tell you about his past. That Marvin was molested when he was 15 years old. Can you imagine why Marvin wrote the song, What's Going On? Marvin was asking that question not for so much about the wars of that era, but internally that was a question he was trying to get an answer to. What's going on? How do you think Marvin's upbringing impacted his future? He had unhealthy relationships. His past forced him to endure substance abuse, other emotional issues. Towards the ends of his life, he became very paranoid. So how do you think Marvin would describe his family? Dysfunctional? Abusive? What else? Confusing, hypocritical? Okay. Now we looked at Marvin's family. Let's look at your family.
It's important for the community to have access to mental health care. But not only is it important for the community to have access, it's important to be comfortable with mental health care. Going to see the psychologist or going to see the counselor should be really no different than routine dental appointments or routine physical appointments. If you have a cold, if you have a bad tooth, you go see the doctor, you go see the dentist. My question is, why should the psychologist or why should the professional counselor be treated any differently?
When it comes to mental health issues in the African American community and other minority communities, there's a lot of stigmas. Not just any kind of stigmas, but cultural stigmas when it comes to mental health. One of the cultural stigmas in the African American community is, guess what? We don't talk about it. Another one is we just gonna pray about it. But what do you do when you've done all those things and you still need help? You know what you have to do? You have to tear down your thinking like the house that once stood here. You have to tear down your thinking and begin to equip yourself with the knowledge to get understanding of emotional health. Because at the end of the day, you only get one mind, and your mind really does matter. And you gotta make sure it's healthy. Family. No matter who you are, no matter where you come from, guess what you got? Family. Can you pick who your parents was? No, they were just picked for you. Can you pick who your brother was? No, they were just picked for you. You don't have a choice in the matter. What were some generational themes? Who had some addictions, issues in their family? Who had an aunt that was on drugs, or that uncle, Who had the uncle that was an alcoholic? Come on. Who had the one cousin that was in and out of jail? Come on. So what do you see sometimes? These patterns repeating themselves. You can look back at your life and you can see a systematic patterns of what grandmama and them did, and you still doing it. But the question you got to ask yourself is, when are you going to say enough is enough? When are you going to draw the line? When are you going to say that the next generation won't deal with this? The worst thing in the world is that your legacy is that your kids are living in your nightmares because you never defeated that thing. You never drew the line in the sand. Is it easy? No. But is it worth it? Yes.
There are many topics that the church is afraid to talk about. Just because we have a relationship with Christ doesn't mean that we don't need to uncover some things.
I learned a lot this evening with post-traumatic stress disorder that I still suffer, and from just things in the past of my own life. And so I'm actually looking forward to more meetings to come to.
Hi, I'm Teresa Barbado, and I've been a counselor and a teacher in Canton City Schools for 28 years. And in all those years, and with all my education, I have never been to such a useful, helpful workshop. The room was filled tonight, and if one person can tell another person, we can change the culture of Canton, Ohio, and we can make it a safer place for our kids.
It's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. But you got to start somewhere.